Hello family, welcome to another beautiful edition of Annie Otto's channel. In today's edition, I have a guest speaker, my one and only elder brother, Mr. Kalu. So today's topic is going to be based on gender-based violence. So we're going to be talking about this, what it is and what the government is doing about it and what you and I can do about it. Okay, guys, I'm going to dwell on this particular topic a little bit, then I'll bring back our guest speaker to share his spotlight on this particular topic, then complete it for us, okay? All right, so what is gender-based violence? Gender-based violence is violence that is directed to an individual based on his sexual identity or biological sex. So 1 in every 3 women, that's a high number, and something seriously needs to be done on this particular topic of gender-based violence, okay, so that we can save life and also save so many other things that may come afterwards. All right, so moving forward, the prevalence of gender-based violence worldwide is largely due to a systemic gender inequality, okay, and the disempowerment of women and young girls and other minorities, okay, worldwide though, okay. So in this particular thing, you will know that this gender-based violence is a kind of cyclic. That means it goes round and round and is being empowered or perpetuated by lack of justice and order. So I'm gonna briefly touch on the types of gender-based violence, okay? So the number one, not in any particular order though, but I would say physical violence, there is verbal violence, there is physiological violence, there is sexual violence, there is socio-economic violence, okay? So, but let me elaborate a little bit more on the psychological and sexual violence, okay? So this is under this category, that's where you'll be able to find things like female genital mutilation, forced abortion, forced marriages, forced sterilization, rapes, okay? So all these ones comes under psychological and sexual violence. So you can elaborate those, even sexual harassment, yes, it comes under that category as well. So I'm not going to say they can be, is all domestic. No, this can also be a community-wise, it can be domestic-wise, it can be related to job. Okay, so all these things. What are the causes of gender-based violence? I'm going to mention some, but they're not limited to these ones that I'm going to be mentioning. Okay, so I'll say harmful gender norm. Okay, harmful gender norms can cause gender-based violence, such as stereotype, cultural norms, forceful early marriages, things that happen that seems to be normal within a community or within a society, but in the real sense, it's not normal. Okay, things they do to one particular gender, even though we know it's not right, but we still do it. Although a lot of changes have been established, but we still need more to be done. I remember my mom telling me back in their days that women were not allowed to go to school because those older ones or their dads or whoever was responsible for it was thinking that if you educate a woman and that woman will marry and take that education or benefit that she have achieved from the education or the job she's getting based on education, she will take it to her husband's family and they'll be the ones benefiting from it. So this made a lot of men, our forefathers, not to send their female children to school. So again, they were looking at women as other families' property. Okay, so they will deprive them of that education. Another thing I want to talk about that can cause gender-based violence is hunger. Yes, people that are always in scarcity of food, based on poverty, based on geographical location, based on weakness, based on family background. There are so many things that can contribute to hunger, okay? So this hunger will predispose somebody mainly women to gender-based violence. You will see people that will try to give them food, but those women have to give them something for them to receive food. I've heard before that in certain parts of Africa, that if a family is so poor and they need food or they need money or they need help from the wealthy people, they give out their young girls in marriage to those people. That's early marriage. They give them out as gift, and those people will give them cow or they will give them money. So all these things are things that need to be stopped. Again, this is hunger, hunger situation that have created this gender-based violence. And when you trade somebody for an animal, human being for an animal, you have already introduced that violence within that young girl's life, because she doesn't want much for the parents. No, neither does she want much for those that got her in place of the animal. So that's what hunger can do. That's what poverty can do. So these are the things that needs to have a stop put on it. Okay. Then another thing that can predispose people to gender-based violence is war and conflict. So when a war breaks out, people that suffer most in this category are women and children. These are the ones that suffer most, because whenever a war or conflict comes, people are displaced from their comfort homes or shelter, and some are on the road, maybe in the bush, or maybe they're just trying to get stuff, get a shelter or get food for their children. In order to do that, you see them being violated by people. They're being raped, they're being abused, their children are being sexually abused, and other things goes on. So this is what war and conflict can do to predispose women and children to gender-based violence. Okay? So what can we do to stop gender-based violence? Building programs or developing programs that will put women in a better place, empower women, empower young girls, send young girls to school or to learn trade or to learn handwork, things that will empower them, equip them to be able to stand for themselves is one of them. Educating women is another thing, because when a woman is educated, she empowers others, and educating a woman is like educating the entire village, the entire family. So once a woman is educated, this woman is enlightened, and this woman will empower other people around her and her own children. So this will put a stop in gender-based violence. Then another thing is building camps, developing secure places for people that have been displaced by war and conflict, making sure that these people are secured and they are away from the arms of harm and all those people that might torture them and take advantage of them sexually. So building shelter is another thing. Then another one is social support to address these issues. People that have been traumatized in one way or the other a lot of people can't just snap like that and get over it. They need therapy. They need people to talk to them. They need programs where they will be welcomed, and a program that will make them feel as human beings. Programs that will show them love, show them comfort. Programs that will tell them they're worth it. They are part of this planet Earth and not just at the bottom or being displaced all the time and taken for granted. But they need a program that will support them emotionally and also create an avenue where they can always come and speak out. Then another thing we can do is to promote the awareness of gender-based violence. Okay, so just like I'm doing now, I'm creating the awareness. Another thing is just to be an advocate, campaign against gender-based violence. Nobody should be treated otherwise because she is this or that. Okay, no person should be treated as an animal or less human because of this or that. So again, no violence should be directed to anybody in any way. So when you see something like this, create the awareness and report it to the right authorities so that justice will be served. And by doing this, creating this awareness, other people will learn not to do this because they're going to get in trouble and justice will be served. And I also pray that when this is being reported, this person will still be protected, and also the required justice should be served accordingly. Then another thing is that whenever gender violence happens, please, if you are around that person, be of help. If you can take in one person, one or two persons that have been subjected to gender violence and help this person to get better, to be a better person, or to be able to fend for herself, or to be able to have a shelter, or to be able to send her children to school, yes, you and I can be that help that will liberate people or eliminate this gender-based violence by being an advocate and helping them to get better. Okay, now, so at this time, I'm going to bring back my brother to say one or two things, to throw a spotlight on this gender-based violence. All right, let's go, guys. Stay tuned. All right, so I'm going to let my brother share his thoughts about this topic, gender-based violence. Let's listen to him.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anelechi Otta, for this very important opportunity for me to share my thoughts on what gender-based violence is all about, especially as it relates to, I'm going to be speaking to what the Nigerian government is doing, not as a mouthpiece of government, but just my thought as someone who is a part of the government. Nigeria, working with the United Nations and the European Union, introduced a project called the Spotlight Initiative. And in the Spotlight Initiative, about 6 states were chosen as pilot states, to begin to, raise issues and curtail or nip on the bud issues that relates to gender-based violence, which was actually on the rise. And we have the state of Lagos, the state of Cross River, Ebonyi, Adamawa, Sokoto, of course, dealing with all of that. So in that case, those states are really, really working with the UN and working, under the framework of the gender-based, the Spotlight Initiative with the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, and as well as the Ministry of Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. And they are working, and they've been able to, aggregate all the stakeholders to ensure that issues of gender-based violence are raised within the stakeholders. And as we speak, there have been incidences of gender-based violence in those states, and a study has shown that it has become, that the incidences are on the decrease now because they are working with the police authorities, they are working with the civil society organizations, they are working with non-profit organizations, and many have been, there are quite a lot of, prosecution going on across those states. And if you look at the last, monitoring of those projects, they've actually done well, and they are in the bid, to go to phase 2. I think on the average, government is raising a lot of, advocacy, a lot of campaign, working with different stakeholders to ensure that the perpetrators of this evil omen they are brought to book.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Thank you so much. I really, really, really love your input. And I guess some of us have had so much maybe related issues, or maybe seen this happen, or maybe even heard about it on social media. So again, we are bringing this to spotlights so that different measures can be implemented much more better among our communities. All right,
but you know what? Mm-hmm. I have a role.
Yes.
You have a role.
Exactly.
Together, we can fight this whole thing about gender-based violence. Peace.
All right. Thank you, Big Boss.
Thank you.
All righty.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you. So once again, all thanks to my elder brother for his genuine and eloquent contribution to this topic of gender-based violence. We have had it all from him, the spotlight, the great topics, initiatives that he mentioned, what the UN is doing, what Nigerian government is doing, and what the European government is also doing. So this spotlight initiative are very, very great. So you and I, can change the world and stop all this gender-based violence. We have the power to do so, and I challenge you and I urge you to be part of this, okay? And if you see somebody that is passing through this in one way or the other, be an advocate and be of help. I love you guys. Please do not forget to share, like, comment on my video. You all have a wonderfully blessed week. Bye guys. Bye y'all.